Mandatory masking is back in Las Vegas, Clark County. The whole county just passed a unanimous motion, 7-0, by the Clark County commissioners. These are the same people that decide if Allegiant Stadium gets built in the past and if, we do big projects. These are the guys who really do everything. It's complicated. It's not going to really affect visitors whatsoever. So just hold on. But the scary parts of this are going to happen in this video too. This one doctor said a bunch of stuff. It was frightening. Oh my gosh. We'll talk more about that too. How's it going, guys? My name is Steve, and I'm not leaving Las Vegas. I'm a Vegas blogger. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for future notifications. It was a 4.5-hour county commissioners meeting. The first half was filled with people complaining about how their budgets weren't filled in all these different places. And there's no budgets for anything. Then there was a brief point where people were getting mad because they only had a minute to talk about their opinions on masks. Then we went to the real meat and potatoes, the real steak and lobster about the whole thing, which was, do we require masks? How do we stem all of it? And yeah, they got down to business on that. And if you need a mask and you live in Las Vegas, by the way, check out vegasfacemask.com. No S at the end. These are great for if you're working somewhere. They won't fall down your nose. They have no nose wire. They go around the back of your head, not your ears. And my wife makes them and sends them out. And we have patterns as well as solids. But you're going to have to wear a mask if you work indoors. So this is what they came up with. And why did they come up with it? We'll explain that in half a second too. So stay tuned for that. So what they said was 7-0 unanimously. If you work with the public and you work in an indoors environment, you will have to start wearing a face mask effectively tomorrow night at midnight. So today's the 20th, 21st at midnight, essentially the 21st, okay? It's not a few hours from now. It's more like, 28 hours from now. You're going to have to wear masks if you work with the public. Now, let's say you work in the casino floor or you work at a restaurant and you're the accounting person and you work in the back room. You don't have to wear a mask when you're working in the back room. And this is going to apply to people who work in the public space. So people who are dealers, people who are slot technicians on the strip, people who are working and they are doing, the cleanup crew at the Blvd, for example, and they're indoors, they're working near the public, vaccinated or not, they have to wear a mask when they're on their shift. Now, as for whether or not you have to wear one outside, you don't. It seems like as soon as you walk outside, if you're that same person doing cleanup at the Blvd, you don't have to wear this thing if you're working outdoors. And the real reason they're doing this, as they explained in this, gosh, it was a long meeting, was they have gotten a lot of pressure from the conventions, some of the biggest trade show industries on the planet. And you see, recently, just a couple of days ago, if not yesterday, the White House has identified the top metropolitan areas in the country for COVID spread, and we're number one. Yeah, we're like 47th for education here in the state of Nevada, but we're number one for metropolitan area for Las Vegas Metro, which is about 2.3 million people, for transmission rates of COVID in the Delta variant. So they said that these conventions are now starting to call and say, what is going on? Are we going to be safe if we have our SEMA show? Is the NFR going to be able to return to Las Vegas? Are we going to have a situation where Vegas is forcibly shut down because of spiking ridiculous hospitalizations like we had last year? And so they're doing this as a response to the businesses. Now, this is a first step. And what's going to happen after this is what they really want to have happen after this is that we get to this number of 70% vaccinated for the state. And currently it's more like maybe, I don't know the percentage. Last time I read it was like 46. And there was a doctor that said that we're getting about 4,000 vaccines a day in people's arms. So it would take about 40 days to get 117,000 different vaccines into people. So at that point, we can revisit things. The county commissioner has meeting said that they will reconvene on the 17th of August, and they will take a look at the transmission rates now that this whole Delta variant thing is happening, and they will see what the next steps are. The next steps may be getting to a point where it's mandatory for everybody, including the tourists who are here, but we haven't gotten there yet. So don't go canceling your travel plans or anything crazy like that, because if you're coming out here, you don't have to wear one of these. Now, they are going to try to really drive home. This whole other part of this meeting was the propaganda side of the meeting. It was scary what they were talking about. They're like, so how do we get on the social media? How do we do this? How do we do that? How do we amplify the message? So they're going to be giving businesses, signs to put on the door. It's going to have to put a sign on the door. Hey, our employees are mandated to wear masks. We highly recommend that you wear a mask, vaccinated or not. And they're talking also about how do we get more vaccines in people? What do we do? And they're talking numbers like, do we spend $1 million on the Hispanic community? Because that's one of the most at risk out here. Because I don't know why, but it just is. So I'm not going to make any pre-assumptions about anything. Do we spend $1 million to put people door to door in those communities? They're actually talking about that door knocking and trying to reason with people to get vaccines and try to convince them to do this. They're talking about a full-on onslaught campaign of what they can do to get people vaccinated, because they say once we get to 70%, it's going to be just fine. You tell me in the comments below if you believe anything that I just said, because that's all in the meeting. I didn't make that up. That's just their words, and I'd be interested to hear what you have to say about this. But this is a mask mandate update for the state of, not the state of Nevada. We're in control of our own county. This is the county of Clark County, and it's a large county, and this is going to hit every part of the county, and this is going to dictate what happens on your vacation. So if you like that pretty dealer smiling at you, you ain't gonna see her smiling at you anymore. If these employees are in the public eye, they're interacting with the public, they gotta wear masks, vaccinated or not vaccinated. The one scary part about this was this doctor who stood up. Now, I gotta give props to this doctor because members of the board, of the commissioner's board, were just pushing on him to try to get him to say what they wanted him to say in some ways. And you know what? He kept to his guns. He's like, well, I mean, it's a good first step. They were talking about things like reducing capacity until 70%. They were going back to that basic drawing board, but he held his ground with a good first step is masking up people who work with the public. But what he did say that scared the hell out of me was when he said, they asked him about mandatory vaccines for people. And he said to the effect of, well, because this is not a official FDA approved thing, there's no way to do that, but I'm open to the idea once the FDA approves these vaccines. Now, that's a whole nother kettle of fish to deal with another day, right? That's a whole nother discussion. You tell me in the comments below what you think about mandated vaccines. It can happen. It has happened in the past, especially with things like smallpox and all these things that can really hurt you. And what's the other one? Shingles, scurvy. These have happened in the past, and it's gone to the Supreme Court where, yes, in a time of a public health crisis, the Supreme Court ruled that local jurisdictions can mandate mandatory vaccines and levy fines against people. There was a Supreme Court case. If you look that up, Supreme Court case vaccine, it'll come up on Google. So that's a little worrying. That's a little troubling, but we're not at that point yet. We're years away, I'm sure, from that discussion. But I'm interested to hear your comments below. So give me a comment below. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for future notifications. I listened to this all the way home on my phone, and I waited till it was over, right to that vote, to make this video, to upload it tonight for you. Once again, that's my video, and I'm sticking to it. My name is Steven, and I'm not leaving Las Vegas. I'm a Vegas blogger. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for future notifications. If you guys need a mask, VegasFaceMask.com. If you're traveling here, you don't need one, but they say you should wear one because of the Delta variant. Do you think that's a bunch of hogwash? Just tell me. I love the word hogwash. That's great. Okay, 3, 2, 1, click. Are you ready to click out of the video? 3, 2, 1. Are you ready? Look at the camera. Oh my gosh, I did it all without a doodling. And click.